Hello and welcome to this virtual event entitled Post-16 Applications. This presentation is intended for parents and carers of students in Year 11 and it will cover some general background information about Post-16 applications, a step-by-step guide to how students are to make those applications, and then towards the end of the presentation I've put some useful websites and some frequently asked questions. If after you've watched the presentation you've still got questions, issues or concerns, then please feel free to email me at the Academy. So my name is Kate Martindale and I'm the Careers Lead, and there's my contact information there. So best place to start then is just to make sure you're all aware of the participation age, and that it is a requirement that students remain in some type of education or training until they are 18. So generally speaking, when we talk about post-16 options, we're asking that students choose one from this list. So first of all, full-time study. So one option is to remain either in a school or college setting. It could be also with another training provider, but it's a full-time course. The second option, which is less popular, is to combine some work and volunteering with a part-time education course. And then we have an apprenticeship and also a traineeship or a supported internship. So it needs to be one of those options. So let me just briefly then share with you this visual, which just shows that the majority of our students do move on to either a sixth form, or they remain at Long Sands, or they go to a further education college, so for example Bedford, Peterborough, Cambridge. We do have a growing number of students who move into employment or training. That's at level 2 and above. I'll talk to you in a minute about the different levels. And only a small number of our students don't move onto one of those pathways. So what we want to avoid really is any of our students becoming NEET, which stands for not in education, employment or training. So we make sure that throughout this year we support them to find a suitable and a realistic pathway so that they avoid becoming NEET. The thing that I always feel about not having a pathway is that it can feel for students very isolating in September when all of their peers are starting a course and they have a pathway in place, and if you don't, then as I said, it can be quite isolating. So anything you can do to support your son and daughter to get thinking and get started on this journey the sooner rather than later. So you might come across the numbers for different levels. You might hear it when you go to different open days, or if you look through the prospectus, which different providers will give you access to online. So you may come across these different levels. So level 1 courses, if you have a look at the first box, it lists things that are covered as level 1. So GCSE courses where students attain grades 3 to 1 are assumed as level 1 courses, and they cover more basic knowledge and skills. They can also be level 1 diplomas and certificates, which are offered by colleges, and often these are linked to specific job competencies or job areas. Level 2 courses cover GCSE grades 4 to 9, intermediate level apprenticeships, level 2 diplomas and certificates, level 2 MVQs, etc. And these show good knowledge and understanding of a subject. Level 2 qualifications are suitable for many job roles. And then you have level 3, which many students, as long as they achieve a grade 4 to 9 at GCSE, will move on to a level 3 qualification. And again, it lists there on the right hand side types of level 3 qualifications. So it could be BTECs, it could be A levels, it could be a higher education level 3 diploma, and it can also be an advanced apprenticeship. So those qualifications are all at exactly the same level. And of course these show a much deeper knowledge and skill and understanding in a much more detailed level. And level 3 qualifications are appropriate if you plan to go to university. But you can also move on and pick up the next level of apprenticeship. So if you start an advanced apprenticeship, you can then move on to a higher level, or even then onto a degree level apprenticeship, or you can mix and match. So you can start a level 3, let's say A levels, and then move on to the apprenticeship route, which would be level 4. So these things all cross, and students can work their way across different routes to their end goal, whether that be employment or university, or as I said, a degree level apprenticeship. So they don't need to start in one type of qualification and follow it all through. They just need to work their way up the levels. And of course you can look, if you want more detail, for level 4 and all the way up to level 8 qualifications. So now you've got a basic understanding of the different types of courses and apprenticeship levels that are on offer. The next thing to do is to have a look at providers. I have sent this information home already, but there is another copy of it there. I haven't put every provider, but I have listed the most popular providers where our students have gone in the past. Please look at their websites and then have a look at when their open days are. Some of these might be virtual events and others might be face-to-face. So you can see on there the provider with the website, and then if they've got a published open day, or in the case of some of the colleges it will be open days, so you don't need to go straight away. You can spread those out through the year. When you go to the open day, go with an open mind, collect all the information, maybe have a few key questions to ask, have a course or a few courses in mind that you want to look into, and it's really just an information gathering process. The most important thing, as I said a moment ago, is to go with an open mind. So try not to have a judgment already made. Try not to think, well, I'm definitely going here, so I'm only going to go to that open day, and then that's just going to reinforce what I already think. Try to get a balance and try to attend more than one if possible. If you do want to attend an open day but for various reasons you're not able to, please contact the provider, because in most cases they will be able to arrange a visit for you outside of those published open days. So now on to some information about apprenticeships. As I said earlier, with the levels, these are available at all levels, and they are for students of all abilities. So it's very important that we put the outdated notion that that apprenticeships in some way are a lesser qualification or a lesser route than A levels. They certainly are not, and as I said, apprenticeships do go up all the way to degree level. The idea of an apprenticeship, as you may be aware, is the whole sort of earn while you learn idea. So you are working on the job, you are an employee, you are being paid, you do have access to any other employee incentives, you can build up your holiday, but at the same time you are released, usually it's 1 day a week, to work towards a recognised qualification. Now, sometimes that might mean going to a college for a day a week or another training provider, but also some larger employers offer their own in-house training, so it won't involve you having to travel to a college for that particular day release. It all just depends on the employer that's offering the apprenticeship. Now, some things to consider if your son or daughter is thinking about apprenticeships, or if you would like them to consider an apprenticeship. It's important to have a rough idea of a career plan. You'll need to have thought about what type of area you want to look for an apprenticeship in. It's difficult to look for an apprenticeship, which I'll talk about in a minute. It becomes virtually impossible if you have no idea of the job sector you want to work in. So if you've got no idea, then that probably suggests that an apprenticeship isn't right for you at level 3. If you do have an idea and you want to get more information, remember to use Unifrog to do your research, particularly for career paths and career plans. It will give you a good idea of types of jobs and what skills they require. The other thing to think about when considering an apprenticeship is, do I feel ready for the world of work? Do I feel that I'm able to take on that responsibility? I've got to get myself there. I've got to be punctual. I need to have the skills, the communication skills. I need to have the personal organisation skills so that an employer can actually employ me and take me on and I'll be successful. And it's absolutely fine that not all of our students are ready to do that at 16. And that's why there are plenty of options available to them. So again, you need to, or they will need to ask themselves that question: am I actually ready to enter the world of work? Regarding apprenticeships and searching for one, it is a difficult process. There are lots of ways that you can do it, which I'll cover in a second. Because of that, it's important to stress the need to have a backup plan. So that could be filling in an application to study A-levels, or an application to a college, just in case you aren't able to secure an apprenticeship. If you do enrol on a college course and you start in September, an apprenticeship comes up in November, you can usually transfer the work that you've done on that college course towards the qualification that is being offered with the apprenticeship. So it doesn't necessarily mean starting again from scratch. The main thing is to have something in place for September. And then if you need to switch and move across to an apprenticeship, then absolutely you can. So how to find one then? Well, unlike a college course or a sixth form offering A-levels, there isn't a one-stop shop place to go to apply. There isn't an apprenticeship application form because, of course, as I said, apprenticeship is effectively a job and there's not just one way to find a job. So if you or if students think this is the right option for them, then they really need to get started now. Networking is the best, or one way to do it, which is just involves asking people, using any existing networks, maybe within family or family friends. Do they know anyone? Do they think that an employer might be offering an apprenticeship? Getting a CV ready so that it's, again, students should have this from last year, but get that CV ready. So if you need to just start emailing companies, you can contact local companies, search the area. Unifrog will help you with that. And then you can make a contact, as I said, send an email, send out your CV. And then finally, there's the National Apprenticeship website, where the majority of apprenticeships are advertised. You can sign up there. There's actually loads of information on that website, but you can also sign up there for updates. So you should get notification of when apprenticeships, new ones come up. There's no deadline because this is up to the employer when they need that person. So annoyingly, it doesn't fit nicely with the start and the end of an academic year, which is why I said a backup plan is really, really important. It could be that you find one and the employer is happy for you to start, at the end of July, and you do your exams and then you start your apprenticeship. But as I said, it might not be till November time. So you've really got to be quite resilient if you're going down this route. You've got to be flexible and you've got to be prepared, and you've got to start now, is what I would say are the main things for an apprenticeship search. So let's now move on to deal with applications, and by this I mean applications to a college for a full-time course or an application to a sixth form school to study on a level 3 course. All students are using My Choice 16 this year, so if you've got other children who have gone through the school, this is something new for this year. All students have been given a login to My Choice 16 already, and they have been asked to set up their profile section. There's more information on Doddle, but they will be getting reminders of this in both their PD lessons, within tutor time, but we also ask that they use some time at home as well, just to make sure that their profile section, I think there's 6 sections to the profile section, make sure they're all ticked as complete, and that will mean that they can make that application when they're ready. That should be a bit smoother because the profile will already be completed. So My Choice 16, on this one then you'll find all the Cambridge area providers. That includes Long Sands Academy, but it also includes other sixth form, Hills Road for example, and also further education colleges such as Cambridge Regional College. Those are where the majority of our students go, so it makes sense to use a platform like My Choice 16. So what we would ask then is that applications to sixth forms where there are deadlines, so not regional colleges where there won't be a deadline, but applications to other sixth forms including Long Sands, we ask that students complete this by the 10th of December. The reason for setting this deadline is because when the student clicks submit, their application will go into what's called school hold, and it will be checked. The reason why we want to check applications is to make sure that students have put all their information that they possibly can into that application to give it the best possible chance of being accepted. But we also want to just double check that the requirements of the provider match what the student is predicted. And if there is a mismatch, then we've got time to just speak to that student and just say to them, oh, you know, did you realise that the provider wants these type of qualifications and at the moment you've only got this? We might need to put a backup plan in place. So if we aim for around the 10th of December, it gives us time just to have a look at all the applications before they get submitted. Please check carefully when you're applying to another sixth form what their requirements are. So in terms of what grades they're looking for, but also they might ask you to click on the first choice and to list their institution as the student's first choice, and I know that some providers say that that is a requirement, otherwise they won't look at the application until they've been through all of the other ones, all the other applications that have been listed as the first choice. That will all be explained in the prospectus, so please read those carefully. In terms of things like offers and interviews, that's obviously up to each provider to decide which students they want to call, and usually offers will be received by Easter. The good thing about using My Choice 16 is when you log in on the home screen, you can see the progress of your application. So it means that if you have submitted one to another sixth form and it's not showing as having been received or an offer having been made, then it tells you where your application is, so you can, if need be, contact the provider to get an update on that. Now, the only time this doesn't work is for students who are applying outside the Cambridgeshire area. You won't be able to submit your application via My Choice 16. However, you will be able to tell us that you are applying out of the area. That means that we can still see where you're applying and we can still see that you have actually made an application. That will also apply to students who are looking for an apprenticeship and who have secured an apprenticeship. Please tell us that by updating your My Choice 16 profile, because as a school we want to make sure that all of our students have a post-16 destination, and when we check My Choice 16 we'll be able to see that everybody has a destination in place. So if you're applying outside the area, let's say Bedford for example, just follow their preferred application method. It will probably be online. Last year they were asking students just to set up a login and then send their application in that way. So just do whatever their preferred application method is and then just tell us that you've made that application. Last couple of points about applications: make as many as you wish, you can accept them all. It's better to accept them all and then wait till results day. Things often change, so it's better to just keep all your options open. And the last thing, sometimes providers will offer taster days, they might call them enrolment days. Check when these are, especially if you're going to book a summer holiday, and then hopefully if you can avoid those dates, that would be a good idea. Okay, last couple of points then before the presentation finishes. How can you support your son and daughter? Try to talk to them about having a clear plan. Make sure they're getting advice and guidance. Attending the open days is a great way to do that, but don't forget we also offer one-to-one guidance with a trained advisor who's not a teacher. Please look carefully at the requirements. This also goes for apprenticeships. What is the employer looking for? If they're looking for certain skills and certain grades in certain subjects, you need to have those. Otherwise, it's unrealistic that you'll be offered a place. So we want to try to make the applications and the destinations realistic. Stick to the deadlines, check what they are, and make sure you submit your applications by that deadline. And the last one is try to be active online, social media, making sure you know what the providers' websites are, and that especially applies if you're looking for an apprenticeship, because being as active as you can online will give you an increased chance of being able to secure an apprenticeship. I'm not going to read through all of these, of course. You'll find these all listed with the hyperlinks on the Academy's website, but I'll also send out the presentation to you with the slides so that you can just click through using those hyperlinks. But there's some good guidance there for parents. If you do feel like you want more information on particular routes, then have a look at some of those. And to finish, a couple of frequently asked questions, but as I said at the start, if I haven't covered everything and you've still got questions, then please feel free to contact me. So a couple of common ones then. First of all is obviously the My Choice 16 login. Lots of different logins, and students might forget once they've set a password up. Just to let you know that the form tutor has access to all of the students in their form, their login information. So if they need a reset, then they should just approach their form tutor and they can get that done. Another common question is about transport. I've put a link there to Cambridgeshire County Council website regarding post-16 help towards post-16 transport. So if you need to take a look at that and check what the requirements are, they are able to offer some help, but obviously it depends on your individual situation. So have a look there and see if you come into that criteria to get help. Can I apply to more than one provider? Yes, absolutely. That's a very good idea, especially with regards to an apprenticeship. Make sure you've got a couple of backup plans in place, and just apply to as many as you want to. What about English and Maths? You may have heard that students will need to achieve a grade 4 or above to move on to a level 3 course. If you don't secure that, the provider, well, you'll have to make sure that the provider that you go to will ask you to continue to study towards that qualification in either English and Maths or both. So for example, if you go and enrol onto a level 2 college course, whatever that course is on, it will also include 1 day of English and or Maths, so that you can resit that exam to hopefully achieve a grade 4. So it's important that students do what they can to try and achieve that grade, or as I said, they'll have to continue to work towards that, and that will only be offered by some providers. So again, that's something to check when I said about what the courses are that are offered by that provider. Do I have to use My Choice 16? If you're applying to a school in the Cambridgeshire area, the answer is yes, because all of the schools, including Long Sands Academy, are on My Choice 16, so you will need to use that. But there also is a big benefit, and that is that you can track the progress simply by logging in. Outside of area applications, as I said, just do what the provider, what their preferred method is. And finally, you may find that your son, daughter at the moment is struggling a little bit and they don't know what they want to do after their GCSEs. As I said, we have got lots of support in place. The first thing to do is to just acknowledge that and then make contact with either myself or the form tutor. The first point of call is to probably book them in to have a guidance session. These are about 45 minutes to 50 minutes long. Our guidance advisor is in school every Wednesday, but they're also there to do drop-in sessions at lunch as well. So we can book the student in for a formal session to give them some help, and then obviously put more support in place as we go through the year to see if they've produced a realistic plan. So best thing to do is to acknowledge that initially, so that we can start to put some interventions in place. So I hope that has given you a slightly more detailed picture of the whole post-16 application process. I've tried to cover equally the different routes, whether that be sixth form, college or apprenticeship, or a combination of some of those things. But as I said at the start of the presentation, please feel free to contact me at the Academy if you've got any further questions, and also please have a look at the careers section of our website, because a lot of the information in the presentation plus some additional videos and websites are listed there.